So that's what I'm saying, Paul. That's why when you were telling me like I had to go up in my prices, I'm like, do that.
Right.
That don't bother me. But it was much easier for me to say that to people to do than it was for me to apply to my own life because I felt like I'm gonna lose some people.
But it makes sense why you would do that too. Because when I drive Uber or ride in Ubers, I don't always feel comfortable. Like, yo, take this route, it's faster.
Right. Right.
Because you're gonna go with this GPS. I rode once on this Uber, yo. This lady, yo, I was riding with, she was old, dog. I ain't no age discrimination. My man, like, if I know you could barely read. You ride me right now. I was scared as shit.
I just believe in my heart that that's only because I'm going to get bigger and better clients.
So you know you might have to hold your thought because I have to blow dry you. It'll give you time to kind of like think about how to protect your man Hove. Morally, obviously Hove is the best rapper, I mean, that we ever seen, right? As far as like commercial, crossover, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But the show is called Always Personal Philadelphia. And this boy worked with Billionaires, right?
Right.
To say that he's going to help Philadelphia public schools with a couple of millions and give them access to private school. But what he did was siphon money from public schools and put them in a private school.
That happened.
That happened.
Yeah.
Boy, morally is something's up with boy, man.
But I ain't never claimed that he was moral. I didn't. I never did.
Yeah.
I wonder though. I can make the argument that morally he's bankrupt. But
how about that?
For real, honestly.
Isn't that scary though? But Hope is when you come to Billionaires, he's on a low end of billionaire. He don't got that, like, compared to like the Jeff Bezos Billionaires, all that kind of good stuff. Mm-hmm. To be morally bankrupt with that kind of bread is scary, dog.
Why so? Why you say that?
Because they got more control over everything, politics, influence on people. Essentially, they own people. You know what I mean? Like, think about Epstein. Epstein, dog. You know what I mean? Diddy on the low end. They put Diddy up. I mean, he gonna have to go through the long haul, boss. Like, he ain't gonna have the privilege of somebody coming to that joint and choking him out with his shoelaces. He gonna have to go through being booked. You ain't got the bread to get murked in that joint.
No. Yeah. That's real talk.
Epstein was on suicide watch too. But somehow they snuck in there and gave Epstein his shoelaces. Like, Diddy ain't gonna have that privilege, dog. No. You know what I mean? He gonna be with the other inmates. They gonna be like, take that.
You know what?
Yo, man, you can't be out here being a creep like that. All the booty warriors is going to congregate on that man.
That's why they got him in custody.
He has sown a lot of seeds, and those seeds are bringing home a harvest. PJ, give me 1 second. Let me ask you one question. With as easy as you picking my damn hair, why you ain't always did it when it was wet? Why did you do what? You know what? Get out my face. Go ahead, man.
You stay at the camera real quick. Repeat the question.
You heard me the first time I asked it. I need to know why did you put me through utter hell picking my hair without washing it before or when it was dry as opposed to what you doing now?
I'm going to answer the question 100% real. This is my guy, I love him to death, right? But he one of them clients who moves his head too much. Sometimes you got to torture him and remind him that, like, you know, it's cost.
You hear this?
Moving your head too much.
This is foolishness. And this is foolishness now. I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh yeah? Oh, all right. So what's your 30,000 foot view of this whole Diddy thing?
30,000 foot view of this whole Diddy thing.
From the zoom out, what you know what I mean? Like without having the benefit of knowing a lot of this, because we only know what was revealed, but I'm saying what do you think about the whole thing in totality?
in totality. You know how like now, like Diddy's. This is like the Me Too movement still basically doing his work as it should, right?
Yeah.
But I want us to keep that same energy as it relates to like Donald Trump. I think these Diddy dudes, Epstein dudes,
Right.
should deserve the same energy. You know, it's one thing for a Diddy who's or Bill Cosby.
Right.
You know what I mean, like they go to jail, they serve their time. R. Kelly.
Right.
Epstein passed away. We never even seen his trial. But you have Donald Trump who is running for president. So
Isn't it just like when you just think about that, Paul? Like if you didn't know anything about politics, honest to God, and you just came from outer space, and somebody plopped you down here, and they just told you everything that he has done, and that he was running for president, like what would you say? Like it's the most.
And people vote for him, right? And everybody, and a lot of people gonna vote for him, stuff like that.
Yeah, like
if I were an alien, I would feel indifferent about killing them all.
Yes,
like they don't really. They're like ants. Like I mean, like why not? But you know, clearly this species won't survive, so we might as well just help them. You know what I mean, like end it down. You know what I mean,
absolutely.
Because basically, I think as human beings, we respect intelligence in other animals too.
Yes.
So we are exhibiting like unintelligent behaviors, then we basically are devolving as a society. Yeah.
It is the most simplistically crazy thing that I've seen. That it's been and it's been dumbed down to parties, like, and I don't know.
Yeah, my wife had put me on to this podcast she was listening to, and they were talking about just the industry of the Republican Party and the Democratic Party and how their industries are so big.
So big.
They don't even allow independents to like get in.
Right.
So it's like it's on a federal level, we're only going to really be getting a two-party system until a lot of them are created on a local level.
Exactly. And I think that's horrible.
I mean, you know what? It has to come with awareness. People need to know. Like in Philadelphia, we're doing it. Philadelphia has 3 political parties.
Right. I know. I'm an independent. So.
How about that? Who do you? Oh, you're independent, so you vote for whoever you feel.
Yep.
How do you like our current mayor right now?
I am super pro Sherelle Parker.
Yeah.
Super duper pro Sherelle Parker on so many levels.
Break it down.
First of all, I like people who are definitive. I don't have to agree with everything that you want to do, but be definitive in what you want to do. And there's a couple of mandates that she has out there that I'm pro everything about. First thing I'm pro for is cleaning up Kensington. I am. And I understand that there's only part of the issue that's resolved. One thing I do know is that for business owners, for people who have family that live on Kensington Avenue, like I do, one of the worst things that you can do is walk out your home and have that on the front of your pavement.
Yeah,
it just crazy. It is. And people who are on the other side of it want to say, well, what are you going to do to reform it? Where are they going to go? And her whole answer right now is, I don't have that part. But they can't stay there.
Right.
Now, that's just an eyesore. And if I'm a business owner, I don't want to have to step over addicts to get into my business. No. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
That's going to make it real difficult to just exist in general, though. Like, that's traumatic to see that every single day.
Yeah. I had a cousin who lived on Kensington Avenue. Every day she would come out of her home until a few months ago, she would have to step over 2 and 3 meth heads.
Damn.
Right out in front of her door.
Who's going to patronize your business? I don't want to be down there at all. Like,
So it is what it is.
Yeah, I like the fact that she doesn't care about the optics.
Nope.
But I also appreciate the fact that Philly has 3 political parties and that city council at large, regardless, like they got to share the same vision. So I think I like it all right now. Like Philly is, I think she's more on the conservative side, but we have progressive city council members at large, and I think that balance can really help us out.
She's very conservative.
Yeah,
I know her personally.
Really?
So I'm on that level. I'm rooting for her too.
When you say conservative, give me an example. Like what? How would you?
I think that. So one of the things that she's for that I'm not, and I said it to her. She wants year-round school. I'm not for that.
Okay.
I don't think that there's a place for that, and I don't think that that's thought out all the way through. It's easy to say keep our kids in school, but you're not thinking about the staffing for it and all those other things, and that has a lot of long-ending ramifications, especially with teachers that are drastically underpaid with a weak union.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so, but she's one of these people. This will appeal to you. She values education. It's a big deal to her, a super big deal. But I don't know that that the length of school makes it more effective. You know what I mean? Like, I think quality, not quantity, but I understand where her vision is. It's like when I went to her campaign raising thing, she basically said to me in a very quiet moment, she said, "I'm tired of our public school kids being treated like they're dumb because they are dumb." That's what she said to me.
It's a real statement.
It's real. That's real. You know what I mean? And I'm for her with the whole tinted window thing. I am.
Can I before we go to the tinted window situation,
sure.
Can I address the school situation?
Sure.
All right. Just hold that thought about the tinted window situation.
Sure.
So I have a client who's an educator, and he was basically saying, I think she wants to bring about year-round school to address the violence happening with our young people.
Mm-hmm.
But he was saying, the violence happening with our young people is not happening at school. But to your point about underpaid teachers, that's a concern. They're already underpaid, so how are we going to keep this joint year round?
Yeah, how you incentivize that?
But I had another epiphany too, yo.
Okay.
In places like China, schools, I think they go to school a lot longer.
They do.
But imagine if we had year-round school, but in summertime, where kids usually have summer break, these kids learn trades. Then at that point in time, oh my God, that'd be one of the most brilliant things this woman ever did. And I hope that we can get that, because we don't have many vocational schools.
We don't.
If I, at the age of 6th grade, was taught how to cut hair.
Yeah.
By the time I went to high school, I could cut hair. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
And also, as it relates to trades, it's a great book, War on Normal People by Andrew Yang. And he was mentioning how trade jobs and trade programs are essential for this new industrial revolution.
War on normal people?
War on normal people. He was a presidential candidate. He was basically saying AI is coming in. It's taking jobs left and right. Yes,
it is. Absolutely.
So when
it's here to stay.
It's here to stay. But trade programs is something that's going to take a really long time for AI to replace.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why contractors are charging way more, or trade people who other trade charging way more, because inflation's happening. Mm-hmm. They can control their raises.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. You know what I'm saying? So they're important. So that was that epiphany. But I like what she's doing. I hope that she actually hears this message and is able to try to figure out a way to enact that, bring our vocational schools back into every school.
Mm-hmm.
And also address the fact that 30 of them were closed in 2013. What are we doing about that? What are we doing about that? Because these kids are going to school that the kids are gang warring with. So those issues need to be addressed too. But yeah, That was how I felt about that. But go ahead about your tenant. What was the situation?
So, you know, um, on a as being a person who drives every day
Right.
for a living, there is nothing, and I mean nothing, scarier than driving up on someone or next to someone whose windows are completely tinted black. I don't care what people say.
Facts.
And I know a lot of our youth, and not just our youth, they look at it as dumb. My daughter was one. You know, she could be doing all there's other things she could do, far better things. You worrying about people's tent. I said, I am. It's a scary feeling, especially in this time of violence and everything like that. And so, um, my cousin is a police officer, and he told me because I see how many cars are pulled over, and before it, and he said, Trace, she basically told every district, if you don't pull them over, I'm getting rid of you. It's you or them. Period. Like she's serious about it. It's serious.
Well,
And
yeah.
it is what it is. And for me, like I said, it all goes just going full circle, Paul. I don't one of the things that I don't like people that play in the middle. You know what I mean? Like be hot or cold for me.
Mhm.
And like I said, in that hot or cold, I don't always have to agree with your hot or your cold, but don't be lukewarm. I don't like that, man. I don't. And she's definitive. We went through that with a Jim Kinney for God knows how long, doing nothing and being in the middle.
Worried about the optics.
Yeah.
See,
Listen to me with optics. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
so the other day, I was riding home from the barbershop at the study. I study at the studio on Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
I get about 5 blocks from my house. I'm approaching the light, and then there's a car on the other side that ran that light, got real close to my car, ran the other light behind it, ran the light behind that. And you can see, I'm looking at the rear view and running all these lights. And I was like, there's no way he don't kill nobody. Somebody. Right. There ain't no way. And so when you see the lawlessness of how people respond nowadays, which I also blaming on Trump, because if the top is lawless, imagine how that relates, how that message goes down to the
filters
constituents.
down. Absolutely.
So like, yeah, that's it's crazy. Well, I understand that there's people out there who are responsible with tents. Man, I don't feel comfortable beeping the horn at you at all. Nope. If you're doing certain certain lawless behavior.
Yep.
And I can't even take a picture of you to get the image of who you is doing the stuff that you're doing.
Exactly.
Because there's a lot, like something like other day, I was watching the news, man, and this two women were crossing the street on their green. Some bull just like plowed into them going top speed. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, so it was just.
Well, how about the 14-year-old little girl who just got killed in West Philly? Got hit at a.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that was her. It was. She was traveling with two people crossing. I think she was the one that took the brunt.
Yep.
That's what I mean. Like,
it's crazy. Crazy. People drive like all-out maniacs, and like you said, when I don't have the ability to get a picture of you or nothing, I got into a knockdown, drag-out argument with my daughter about it. She's like, "Why this to keep all of the sun out? Everybody don't want sun in their eyes." I said, "Aaliyah, you sound silly." I said, "You sound absolutely silly and juvenile."
But also, you can tell her, my wife is an eye doctor.
Mm-hmm.
If you really need temp because of the sun, then go get an exam. I mean, let her test that, John. Don't just be doing it because. I mean, like.
Because it's a healthy excuse.
Yeah, you want to look cool. Like, it's
that's what it boils down to. It boils down to what they think is cool, and it's not.
But my issue is right now is just like what you're seeing is like a small group of people are making most of us have to pay for it. Like, absolutely, we paying for these speed bumps, dog. We paying for so much because people don't care.
How the speed bumps are. Yep, they're everywhere now.
Yeah, we doing that because of folks. Like, imagine it was a speed bump where that girl got hit. Yep. It wouldn't. You had to slow down first, so the impact wouldn't have been that great. We got to pay for that.
Yep.
It's drawing, man.
I live around Overbrook School for the Blind. That's where we live right across from. Mm-hmm. And every in every direction, 3 blocks away from the school. In every direction, they put not just speed bumps, but massive speed platforms.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't have a problem with it, um, but like you said, it just goes to show how the price that you pay for a few people, because it's not everybody.
Yeah. That's what I feel about when you asked me about my panoramic view of Diddy. That's how I feel about billionaires in general. If you morally bankrupt, you know what I mean, we still got to pay for how you direct society because they have so much power as how they influence people.
That's what Mark Cuban said on Shannon Sharp show.
Really?
Basically, what you just said. Yep.
Who's a billionaire?
Yep.
What did he say?
Basically, what you said about he said that he said to be a billionaire there is a certain responsibility that comes with it. He said, or should come with it, and he said, and in most cases, you have a lot of people with a lot of money with not a lot of moral, and bad morals corrupt their values every time. Every time.
Right. That makes sense to me because Epstein had such reach of other powerful people. So imagine how he was moving society. I mean, like that's Diddy on a really small level compared to what he was doing.
Yep.
I mean, ties with Trump, ties with Clinton, like that's just crazy. The ties with like princes in other countries, like it's ridiculous.
I just, I would love, what's interesting for me is I'm always fascinated with people like a Diddy from a psychological standpoint. I would love to know what goes on in their mind. I don't know why. I've always been fascinated by stuff like that. Even Epstein, you know what I mean? Like, what is I don't want to say breakdown, but what's the rub, so to speak? And that's putting it very, very slang like, but their minds amaze me. And I don't mean it from a like want to be like them, but what's up?
Just the abstract thought for that.
Yeah, there it is.
How about this? I truly do believe that billionaires are slave owners.
Okay.
And that politicians typically are overseers, middle class and poor people are slaves.
Okay. Well, yeah, clearly.
So we have
if I didn't agree with you with the other two, I can definitely meet, which I do, by the way. But I definitely could agree with you on the last part. The middle class are slaves.
Right?
Yep.
So now, if I have a billionaire, mind you, like Diddy, R. Kelly, on a lower scale, Epstein would use your ambitions as a way to control you.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
I mean, what you want to do, and like key to your success, all that kind of good stuff. So a slave owner typically wants to exploit your body. You know what I mean? Like control people. Things change then. So it's just, I think it just makes it. I think that's the rub.
Yep.
Is the people trying to control people. And I could be wrong. No. Mark Cuban could be different. You know what I'm saying? Like
no. Listen, well, there's outliers in everything. So
how about that?
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think anything is 100% off. You know what I mean? So yeah. I mean, he could be an outlier or not. You know what I mean? Who knows? But I know that there has to be outliers in it. But I would venture to say that you're on course now. Have a good one.
Say again.
I would venture to say you're on course with that. You know what I mean? With that hypothesis, so to speak.
How about this? I also think Mark Cuban said he's comfortable with paying his fair share of taxes.
Absolutely.
Right. So that's
he talked about it.
That speaks more into like where his values are. That'd be different if Congress wanted to go pass it. I want to see what he would say then.
Right.
I mean, because he could say one thing and then have lobbyists be like, listen, I know that said X, Y, and Z on TV, but you better make sure I gotta pay my fair share.
Right. No, that's real.
It's possible.
That's real talk.
Because he could have funded Bernie. I wonder if he could have funded Bernie Sanders' campaign single-handedly.
It's a good question.
I'm saying, or got other billionaires.
That's a good question. No, for real.
Yeah, your actions speak louder than your words.
Yeah.
But whatever. For the mustache, how low you want it to go?
About halfway, I guess.
Bet. Real pictures. I just thought about something.
Mm-hmm.
You're about to make me go viral, yo.
Why? Why is that?
Because it's an authentic conversation embodying exactly what I want to get out on a barbershop with somebody I really, truly respect and admire.
Oh. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I don't think this energy exists in any barbershop, bro.
No.
Yeah. How we met was amazing, yo.
Right. I think about it all the time. I really do. I do. I really do.
Let's go through the story, man. So you picked me up. I was getting a ride home from this very building.
Yep. Matter of fact, I didn't even pick you up in front of the door. I picked you up right there at that Sharp Neck Street right there.
Yeah.
I picked you up on that corner. You got in that corner.
Damn.
I remember. Mm-hmm.
Damn. Yep. I don't remember. I don't remember what the conversation was about when.
I don't know. I recall. Well, the first thing I recall was I was going to back out on the Germantown, and you said no, just go down Sharp Neck and make the right and hit Lincoln Drive that way. I remember. And I was like, oh, okay, because I didn't know. And then that's when you were like, you gave me your card.
Yeah,
I think.
I remember we were riding. I think we got to West Philly, and I was basically saying, I see what your barber was trying to do.
Right.
I think I could do a little different.
Right. Those were the exact words.
It wasn't a critique. It wasn't.
No.
It wasn't like a mean critique or anything like that about the cut. I just thought I could do it differently.
Right.
And when you came in, I gave you my first cut to you on the house. And when you came in, the energy was even better than our first conversation, bro.
Right.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second, Tracy. I gotta curl your hair up. Yeah, that was an amazing thing, man. We've been brothers ever since.
Absolutely. And I value that. I value that.
We've been through a lot too, bro.
Yeah, man. How about that? It's crazy. Because I never thought I always knew that I would find a better barber than okay, let me say it to you this way. You by the quality of your haircut that you gave me really made me value haircuts again. Because hair historically, and if my wife was here, she would tell you it was never a big thing for me. Like I was never one of those gotta get my hair cut. Oh my God, my line is a bit off. I've always had kind of the mantra of it's only hair. Like for real. Like it'll grow back. You know what I mean? If they take your hairline back too far, whatever. If they take it down too far, well, it'll grow back. And if it don't, oh well, it's hair. But when I got a cut from you, I was like, oh, now I see why people pay. Because I used to be of the mindset that like my son Charles goes to a guy named Chink the Barber, and well, he used to, but Chink's schedule is funny, but when my son used to tell me that he was paying $50 and $60 for a cut, and this was years ago, the thought of that to me used to make me cringe. I was like, that's crazy. For real. Like I was like, that's crazy. I thought that to myself. I never said that to him. You know what I mean? Because I understand that we value what we value, and what's value to me, what's valuable to me, might not be to you, and it doesn't make me right and you wrong, or vice versa. But once I got a haircut from you, I was like, oh, 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 that's what it is. And so what it did is it gave me understanding of what a quality cut was like. And in truth, I always knew that I would find a better barber than who I was going to, because I knew my barber was at the end of the line, basically. What I didn't ever foresee was that I would find a barber that I was as intimate with and as personal with, because my old barber cut my hair from the time I was 12 up until I was in my early 40s. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of history attached to that. And you've had the capacity through your personality, through atmosphere, to kind of speed up the time, where it feels like I've been knowing you much longer than 2019. You know what I mean? So,
well, I would say this. First of all, pause you on the intimacy part.
well,
But,
yeah.
you know.
I said it with intentionality.
I know. But,
I did.
But I will say I only give my business card to people who I generally have a strong connection with.
I feel that. I respect that too.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and even though we joke and we kid a lot,
yeah,
pause situation.
Right.
I love you to death. Like, you really are my brother, bro.
Yeah.
I think that's the best part about knowing you, dog. Like, first of all, the fact that you were an only child.
Yep.
I reckon, everybody loves you, bro.
Huh?
Everybody loves you, man.
Yeah. My wife told me something a couple of days ago that made me laugh. It wasn't the first time she said it, but she said, "You single-handedly made my Q rating go up."
Q rating?
Huh?
Q rating, what is that?
You know, when presidents are popular, they have what they call a Q rating. And like when Obama was in office, like the Q rating was at an all-time high. It just means what people think about you personally. You know what I mean? It was, I think his Q rating was the highest of any president ever in history since they started recording it. And they started recording it back, whoever was the president before Jimmy Carter. Damn. That's how far Q rating goes back. And Obama, even now, has the highest Q rating ever for a term, for 2 terms. But so my wife always jokes, and she always says, people like me because they love you. She says it all the time. Because Tam is hard. Tam is rough around the edges, and she is not. It's hard to embrace Tam.
Hard to read a little bit.
Yeah, she's a bit rough until you really get to know her, and she can rub people the wrong way. She can easily, very easily.
Kind of more or less like I think I used to be that way too. Like no filter, really. I'm just gonna let you know how I feel.
Yeah. And I have a way of kind of smoothing that over, and not on purpose. I've always been that way. I always tell people in my entire life I've been in one fight ever. And that wasn't even really a fight. It was more of a wrestling match, and he went his way and I went mine. I've always been that kind of guy.
Real quick to add to that, for example, when we're having our debates or talks, I recognize how like you are real diplomatic.
I try to be.
You'll say a little bit of pushback. You give a little bit of pushback.
Yeah.
And that not some people you could be talking to them, they were like, I completely disagree with that.
Yeah.
You like a little bit of pushback, and then it's a calm, relaxed way of handling like a disagreement. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think that the reason for that is because the Bible says this. It says in Proverbs, it says wisdom is the principal thing, right? But then the second part of that, or the B part of this, is but in all your it says wisdom is the principal thing, so get wisdom. But then the B portion of that says, but in all you're getting, get understanding.
That.
And I always want to understand. I think too many times people push back just to.
Right.
People listen for a response, not listen to hear. And I don't ever think that's helpful.
I agree. Completely. I think the ego takes over with people a lot of times. There was one, again, I don't subscribe to any religion. We talked about that.
Right.
I definitely appreciate the Bible. And it was saying something along the lines of, I think it's Corinthians. A fool's ways seem right to him, but a wise man learned to listen.
Yep.
And that kind of goes into the pride before the fall situation. Yep. If you know how to listen, how could you possibly be prideful?
It says there's a way that seems right unto a man, but the end thereof is death. That hearing that right. When we have our own preconceived notions, let me tell you something, Paul. Without being in your household, let me tell you what's the secret sauce to you and your wife's marriage. That you listen to her. Seriously, I know you do. And because I know you, I can tell by your demeanor. And that doesn't mean that you always have. And you're probably better at it now, just by experience. Getting older, getting more mature. But I think one of the things that we don't do enough is we don't listen because we come in ready to rumble. And instead of saying, let me hear what they're saying first. Right. You know what I mean? And for me, I always want that first. Always. And then we can, then if I don't agree, well, then this is why. But I got to hear what you're saying. I think it's only fair. And I think that's what rubs me wrong about a lot of people in politics. Honest to God. Yeah. Never mind.
I agree, because a lot of people in politics, there's a number of things that take place where, well, let me go back. In my house, I made it a culture to listen to each other after me and Shanty's first argument.
That's wonderful. I love to hear that.
Right, so after our first argument, I went upstairs to apologize for my tone. I felt right in what I said, but how I said it was wrong, and it rubbed her the wrong way. And being from her culture, women typically aren't taught to stand up and fight for themselves.
Are they submissive by nature?
Submissive by nature, or submissive by culture.
By culture, I should say, not nature.
Yeah. And I had to explain to her, all right, well, listen, this is our culture we created. In our culture, you gotta let me know what's wrong, because if you let me, I shouldn't have to guess.
Yeah,
no, you can tell me.
No,
but it got more refined.
Too much pressure to have to guess too.
Facts.
Yeah, I'm not going to get that right a lot of times if I have to guess.
Right. I'd rather you be open book for me, and vice versa. And over time, I just refined my ability to listen to her. Nowadays, when my wife gives me a critique, it'd be a hard critique. Like, yo, you don't, even financially, I need you to try to, even though you don't make as much, you need to try to step up a bit more.
We've had listen. But
when she said that, it wasn't like I don't get upset. I envision myself on a bench press, and I use it. And now, with that being said, now I'm about to I'm pursuing my medical insurance broker's license, just to generate more. Even though I think necessarily she wasn't saying anything I need you to do X, Y, do more. Just try to step up,
Right.
And it wasn't even a challenge in a bad way. It's just I can. I mean, my wife recognized the potential in me, but if you don't listen to that, then how could you possibly try to better yourself? You got to be able to have somebody be able to see your flaws, yo.
Yep.
Sorry.
That's funny you would say that. That was a whole conversation in our household that it to be very honest with you, it devolved into a full-fledged knockdown drag out. Oh my God. That we're going to have to revisit about finances, because at the core of it, in our household, um, I bear a lot of the money responsibility.
Mhm.
I catch a lot of the slack, and that's fine. I'm with that. Like I don't care. My issue is with Tam, and I told her this. I said, you want things both ways. You want us to live a certain way. You want me to foot my $1,000 car note, because that's what it is, $958. Your $600 car note, insurance, a whole host of other things. But then, on the other hand, you want me, when you're off, for me to be off. No, 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 no. It doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? Like, we don't get to spend enough time together. Okay, well, I get that, but it's either one or the other. You know what I mean? And that turned into a whole situation. You know, because I could have very easily said to Tim, you have opportunity on your days off to go work down at the stadiums, and you never do, to earn extra money, and you never do. And I don't pressure you to. You tell me you're tired, you ain't going. I say okay, but then on the other hand, you can't tell me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't tell me, oh, you've been working 13 hours a day. I need you to come home so I can at least see my husband for a couple of hours. I get what you're saying. But when I'm in the process of about to, make a $400 run to New York, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like, it's interesting, the dynamic.
Yeah, it's I think, especially when I start earning more, I want to start going to couples therapy just so I can basically make sure that I'm moving in a way that brings about fulfillment for both of us in a healthy way, Because right now, while I might not be able to contribute as much financially, I make up for it in value for the household, like renovating my crib.
You do. Listen, I was thinking that, like, yeah, you save your household a lot of money too.
Yeah, and she recognizes that. My lady recognizes that.
I'm sure.
And when she said what she said, it wasn't in a malicious way. I was BSing,
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and I recognize that too. But it's like, it was. I ain't gonna hold you. When she told me that, it was the best gift I ever received. I recorded a podcast episode about it called The Art of Focus,
Wrong.
Like that for me. Should have seen too. So when we got our house, the house we live in now, that I renovated.
You did that. Like, you straight up did listen. And I know you did because of how much of it you've chronicled. Like, you did that. Like wow.
If I tell you who did the finishes though, Shanty.
Did she?
Big time. It was interesting. So my now I reflect on it. It was very definitely a very spiritual journey the whole time. I was on the phone with my homie Sean. Sean was a barber who cut my hair when I was in high school. He's the big reason why I wanted to cut hair since I was young. He'd make everybody feel good and cut their hair at the same time. He's also my sister's boyfriend at the time. Just like he's like a brother. Anyway, I was on the phone with him, and Shanty found this house she wanted to look at. So we go through the whole house. I'm on the phone with Sean. We leave the showing of the house, and she's like, "You didn't even look at the house at all." And I was like, "I did. Is that exactly what you wanted? We should get it." She was just like, "Oh." Then we went and got it.
Yeah.
We went and got it.
Yeah.
And then now, my lady has a bit of financial PTSD from what we experienced when we had to move to Canada, right?
Right.
So we had the funds
So
to.
take me on that trip. What did y'all had to? Why did y'all have to move to Canada?
So I worked at one of the largest law firms in the world.
Oh, okay. Pleasing with that. Got it. Okay.
I'll just bring you through the. So lost my job after working there 10 years after getting my education because they decided to give a management position that should have been posted to someone with the right complexion, no rapport, no education, none of that. And then when I asked HR how come they didn't post the position, they put moves in place to get me terminated, which happened. So my wife is Tamil. There's a lot of cultural pressure that a lot of people won't understand unless you're in those circles.
Right.
Won't really understand. So my wife had given birth. She had suffered from postpartum depression, so I was no longer talking to my wife. I was talking to postpartum, and essentially, effectively, her parents talked her into moving to Canada without me. With the premise of like building a better future for the family, but I wasn't really wasn't in that picture, yo. So I just left everything, rented out my house to save my family, no plan at all.
Right.
And went up there and just imagine that only being a homeowner, having to walk on eggshells in somebody's house. Just it was a lot. I remember my father-in-law. I was like, I gotta get a job out here. He's like, you don't even have a green card. Laughed at me. And then lo and behold, I found these barbers basically taught me how to cut hair in Toronto. And then a year from that, he was just like, we need to invest in Paul's business.
Wow.
Yeah. So then it was like coming home, bringing out all of that to like this moment, like, wow. It's crazy. So we had financial PTSD from that. That's how she got it. We had a failing business.
Got it.
It failed. The business failed, but it was the greatest blessing. I mean, she was just like, I hated that moment and blah, 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 blah. But I look at that moment like, nah, dog. First of all, it made our marriage even stronger. What we were able to endure.
Right.
And then the other part of that is just like, I mean, I saved my family. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
Well,
heck yeah.
I should say we saved our family. It ain't.
I get it.
Yeah. But it needed to happen. And also in that I have a stronger bond with my stepfather. I mean with my father-in-law, because I got two daughters. The approach that he took with me was like, first of all, I'm not Tamil Indian. They used to arrange marriages. You got this brother and this young, like, he don't got no education. You're a doctor. He has an associate's degree. You know what I'm saying? Like, what, he's not worthy of you. I mean, that's what's going through his head. And then right now he's suffering from dementia and Parkinson's.
Okay.
But before he had that decline, we had this great conversation about astrology and all of that stuff. He was just like, man, you a part of me, man. You were part of me, yo. Awesome. He was like, you really earned, like, you deserve it, yo. Like, it was an amazing moment. But the funny side of me was just like, motherfucker, I've been did that.
Right. Right.
See what the rest of the family did, dog. But that's my guy, though. I mean, like, you ain't supposed to look at adversity like, why is this happening to me? You're supposed to look at that test like something you could pass with facts. Flying colors.
Big facts. Super facts.
Matter of fact, I didn't even know I was capable of doing half the stuff I'm doing right now if it wasn't for Shanti. The Shanti's culturally, Tamil people tend to be pretty frugal. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not like bragging about how much you spent for a thing. It's bragging about how much you spent for a thing of value and how much savings you got on it. That's the thing.
That's the brag.
That's the brag.
Yeah.
So I remember at the house we have in West Philly. When I worked at the law firm, I was accustomed to getting like $10,000 tax returns or like $7,000 tax returns on the crib at that time. This is under the Obama administration, dog. So we were trying to upgrade the house with flooring, and I was calling a contract. They was like, "Yeah, it costs about $14,000 to get that done." So Shanty was like, "Why don't you try to do it ourselves?" I was just like, in my mind, I was thinking, "Get that door out your goddamn
Yeah, like who?"
But I was sitting there thinking, like, the listening part, you know what? Why not? You spent $7,000, did that, y'all.
That's crazy.
It's the same thing I said, but we did. But that gave me the confidence to do what I did at that house.
That's
that experience.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm. But when you think about it, it's really not crazy because our ancestors were able to slave over things they never owned. Mm-hmm. So we should have the mentality that we can slave over the things we own. You know what I mean?
No, that's well said. That's well said. All right,
there's no need to. We recorded all of this, dog.
Oh yeah, that's dope. You ever have you're a big reader?
Yeah.
Have you read the new Jim Crow?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I love that book.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
I'm reading it now.
Yeah. Wow. How everything's hidden in plain sight.
Oh my god.
Amazing. No, it's actually even a more profound book, or just as profound. The Black Tax.
Black Tax.
Yeah, because I think Michelle Alexander wrote.
Michelle what? Michelle Alexander. Yeah, Michelle something.
Michelle. Yeah,
it's Michelle something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I get horrible with authors from time to time, man. I really do. But yeah, the Black Tax is like, yo, when they go line by line on how our people, what has happened to us directly after slavery and how it is transformed to a new form of slavery, which Michelle Alexander kind of illustrates in some capacity. Imagine all of it. When it all comes out, because you only see it from the prison side of things, which Michelle Alexander kind of goes into. But when you see like all of it, the panoramic view of it from the Black Tax, you're like, yo, reparations, we need that ASAP. We need that. I guess.
You know what that book has made me change my tone about a lot. Well, that coupled with post-traumatic slave syndrome, it has made me change my tone about Paul, I don't know if you know, but I'm very, very, very inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Very inclusive, like as far as white people, things like that. And it's made me change my tone. I used to wonder why older people were so bitter. And it's made me understand. Not necessarily agree with every bit of it, but understand their vantage point of everything that's been taken, everything they've endured, the stress, the traumas, the everything. And it's really given me a look from their view.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And not to mention, I have an aunt, a great aunt, who her dad was a sharecropper. Mm-hmm. And I never knew what the concept of sharecropping was until she explained it to me. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh shit. Mm-hmm. Oh wow.
Slavery again.
That's what it was.
You just got enough to work for on this part to survive. That's it.
Yep. And she was telling me how in the case of her father, every year at the end of the year when it was time to get their share, the owner of the farm would tell him we only broke even.
Yep.
So here it is. Her dad never got paid.
Yeah.
They had a place to stay, and food to eat, basically, but no money ever. I was like, wow.
But then, man, that's why the Black Tax, that's mentioned in the Black Tax as well. But then fast forwarding to 2024, like imagine more atrocities took place even after that. But continue, please.
And so she was explaining to me, because there's a lot about our history that I don't know. Mm-hmm. And it's all because of ignorance, not because it's not available. For me, it's a personal ignorance, because there's some things that I don't like to look in the eye, and for what they are, because I think there's a part of me that wants overall peace. But what I'm learning now more than ever is that sometimes peace is knowing the truth and dealing with the truth, as opposed to just saying the word peace. You know what I mean? So, but that's a whole nother conversation. But so when she was, as I was learning about that, and then learning about how that sharecropping down there is what started a lot of the slaves and people like that to moving up here to the north. I didn't know this. I really didn't. As far, you know what I mean, because there were factory jobs up here and stuff like that.
But
I didn't know.
But before that, there's a great book called Wilmington's Lie.
Okay.
Where blacks just started getting into politics.
Okay.
They had the Fusion Party, and they worked with the Republican Party that weren't as racist as the Democratic Party at that time.
Gotcha.
The Fusion Party and Republicans won the election and were trying to undo some Jim Crow laws. And the Democrats at the time marched into the town with guns, killed 65 black men, and marched anyone who helped them out of the town. They did it via train. Trains let out in major cities.
Right.
Hence why those sacks are those trains that were refugees. We came from the south up here, and all the trains let out in major cities. Hence why we're there. So
okay.
it's like, but one thing about the black text that emphasized was implicit bias. People don't know why they're racist because there's no origin story for us.
Right. Right.
So they see the bird getting cooked. You know what I'm saying? Like, even the bird is not the most beautiful thing, it might be runny or whatever the case may be, you ain't recognize the person who cooked it had crippled hands. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, then you see the origin, like, damn. Like,
yeah.
I mean, like,
yeah. Implicit bias.
Implicit bias. Like, when you, there's overt bias where it's like somebody could say something like Trump said about Haitians. When you say something like that out of pure, like, it's racist. Like, I mean, right. on his face. Then it's like people have. You walk into a store. I had an incident. I got a tuxedo. I got fitted for a tux for my homie's wedding. It was in Ardmore. So I walk in that joint and I see a sister, and I'm waiting for her because I want to be safe. I go to places and I need to be welcomed in certain places, and she's giving me welcoming energy. Older white man walks up, tells her to go do something else. Well, he gonna help me do it. When I tell you he was aggressive from the rip, fitted me for a suit. I bet you thought this was going to be a hard thing. Pause. And he for the vest he put on, I was like, the vest is a little bit too loose. You think we can tighten it? I already did that. Just the aggressiveness of it. And I'm thinking to myself, there's no way you're treating an older white man like this.
Right.
There's no way. That's implicit bias. You ain't gonna do that.
Gotcha. I get you.
You know what I'm saying? But you don't know you're racist.
Right. But you are.
And that's black people too.
Yeah, absolutely.
See what I'm saying? So you can get grace. White people can get grace because they were never taught, just like us.
Yeah.
But now, critical race theory, don't vote against that. Because that you support that on both sides, that ignorance. Once you're taught, come on, dog.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, all them books, man. I'm happy you read Post Traumatic, bro.
Oh yeah, I've been read that. When you told me about it years ago, I read it.
Really? That's
I read it. The new Jim Crow, a buddy of mine named Jamal just read it.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Trey, you gotta check out this book." And I was like, "Well, what is it?" And I let it sit for a while, just because I just don't read enough. I don't read like I should. I really don't.
I listen.
Yeah.
I mostly listen to audiobooks. Post post-traumatic slave syndrome and the debt, they don't have those on audio, so I had to physically read those books.
I don't tend to read enough, and I don't like to listen to audiobooks.
Why is that? Just curious.
I like to see things with my eyes. It's how I'm wired.
You're a visual learner.
Yeah. And so, but anyway, he told me to check out the new Jim Crow, and I was like, he kind of gave me an overview of it, quick, And like I said, when it came in the mail, I let it sit for a couple weeks, not because I was trying to, I was just busy. Then when I started reading, I couldn't put it down. Now, post-traumatic slave syndrome was a hard read for me.
Break it down.
Hard to stomach.
Very simple stuff, though, wasn't it?
Yeah. It wasn't hard to understand. It was hard to stomach. Some of the atrocity that our people have endured, and the long-term ramifications that it's had. And so I had to read that in bite-sized morsels, honestly. And then at some points go back and read it. Devoid from emotion. You know what I mean? Apart from emotion.
Well, thanks, BJ.
Hey, thanks, BJ.
For me, brilliance is taking something really complex and making it so simple that anyone can understand.
Well, she's brilliant.
Yep.
Now, what I didn't know, my pastor was telling me, because he's a huge fan of her. My pastor's a big time reader. Like he's one who always. The reason why I go to the church I go to is because my pastor is heavy on people being educated, and he always tells us one of the things that he always hates is dumb Christians. And he always says, and when I say dumb Christians, I don't mean dumb in the sense of not know your Bible. He said, but dumb in that that's all you know. Because he just always feels like part of how we will win people to what we believe is to be able to talk on all platforms, not just the Bible. And it's a truism. And historically, Christians, as opposed to most other religions, drop the ball when it comes to knowing about world events, knowing about what we believe, and being able to stand on that. Because as my pastor says, you're so spiritually lifted that you're not intellectually grounded.
Well,
and so one of the things that I learned from him about Dr. Joy, because he went to see her lecture any number of times, is he said, Tracy, the reason why she was able to make that book simplistic, he said, is because that book was based around lectures that she's done for a long time over that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. He said, so when she wrote the book, it's in her. It's what she believes. It's what she talks about. And I say, oh, that's why it sounds like that. Simplistic in nature. You know what I mean?
Blow off for me real quick. Yeah. A number of things with that. So she's from, I think she's from Compton. Or definitely one of the major cities in or one of the hoods in LA. And so now, mind you, she has I think maybe 3 or 4 master's degrees. So it's a book called Framework of Understanding Poverty by Ruby K. Payne. And she was talking about like how when people who are in poverty, if they're around people who are middle class, and then be around people in middle class and be around people who are wealthy, they make these combinations of thought. So even on the mental level, if she's not financially rich, she's that mentally, right?
Yes.
The combinations of thought in that respect could be, I can speak to somebody who doesn't have my level of education so you can understand it.
Right.
That's the brilliance of it all.
You know
what I'm saying? Like, and the best part is that's my hero, her and her daughter Bahia. I got to talk to both of them, dog, and make a connection with an author. I mean, like,
She's amazing.
Yeah, bro.
She's amazing.
Yeah, bro. She's a Baha'i.
Mm-hmm.
You heard about that?
Mm-hmm.
So she can pretty much how she views it is, or the Baha'i faith is like they believe is this one guy, whoever you call, y'all all praying to the same one. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm more or less like that, or go with the Buddhist way of life, more or less, not necessarily religion. I couldn't even put myself in that category either, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, wow.
So yeah, in reading that New Jim Crow, it opened my eyes to some things, and yeah.
Yeah. You know, knowing you in general has opened my eyes to a lot of different things, bro. You say a lot of wise stuff, man.
I try. Sometimes I don't always feel wise, but
Really?
but yeah.
Right down for me. And right down for me. Mm-hmm. I think you were the first person who basically really helped me understand, like, know my word and what I do. That in itself is wise. Like I mean,
And here's the thing: I can teach that better than I can apply it. Because even now, like I just had to I had to do some drastic changes in my prices as far as my driving, getting drastically devalued in it, and like it was crazy to the point where like when people were asking me to do long distance trips, I found myself dreading it more than um, relishing it.
because you were devaluing your rate.
Hell yeah.
What's your business name?
Destiny Transportation Services, DTS. Um, and because what I was finding was I was trying to stay commiserate with what the rideshare services of the world were doing. And the reality to it is that what I wasn't taking into consideration is that people are getting my personal touch. And in that, what you're getting is my conversation, you're getting my time, you're getting me going to your door from wherever I am. See, when you call up an Uber, they because they got so many of them, there's somebody right around the corner that can get to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But for the person that I'm picking up in Delaware when I live in Philly, the person I'm picking up in Malvern when I live in Philadelphia, and then have to drive out to New York, that shit costs.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I wasn't charging people for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to the point where I was timid to tell people what it's easy to charge people to drive locally because the reality to it is that people will overpay for local trips. Like if I tell somebody it's $30 for me to take them from here or $40 to take them from here to Center City, people will pay that. They will. But when I tell somebody it's going to cost you $400, $450 for me to take you to New York, people are like, well, if I take an Uber, it's only going to cost me $275, and I used to get intimidated by that. But my answer to them now is, oh, well then you should go with that then.
Right up.
Then you should go with that because here's the part that I wasn't factoring in: that for me to go up to New York and come back is $82 in tolls. Every time you cross that Verrazano Bridge to go to JFK is $17.63 both ways. Mm-hmm. It's not a one-way toll. When you cross over that Gotham Bridge, it's $16.90 both ways. And so like gas, and so like when it was all said and done, and all that's going on my Easy Pass, by the way, when it was all said and done, I was coming out with a profit of like $65. No. No. It's not worth it at that point. It's not worth it. And so that's what I'm saying, Paul. That's why when you were telling me like I had to go up in my prices, I'm like, do that.
Right.
That don't bother me. But it was much easier for me to say that to people to do than it was for me to apply to my own life because I felt like I'm gonna lose some people.
But it makes sense why you would do that too. Because when I drive Uber or ride in Ubers, I don't always feel comfortable. Like, yo, take this route, it's faster.
Right.
Because you're gonna go with this GPS. I rode once on this Uber, yo. This lady, who I was riding with, she was old, dog. I ain't no age discrimination, my man. Like, if I know you can barely read. You ride me right now. I was scared as shit.
Yep.
Like, if I know I'm gonna have the same person riding me around, dog, it's quality in that.
That's how I've gotten my local clientele. 90% of my local clientele came from Uber and Lyft clients. Because while people like Uber and Lyft in theory, what they don't like is the fact that they don't know who they're going to get. And so if I can assure, thank you, it's good. And so